Welcome to our 10th anniversary year. Enjoy the memorable moments and the special people that you will see in the presentation to follow.
Yeah, I remember the start of the school very, very well. But more than anything, I probably remember even before the school became Harrow International School, when we were at the Riverine apartment block. I remember teaching in a bedroom. I remember all of my students, 3 of which are still at the school now. And I remember those sort of pioneering days alongside Carol Ann, David, Tim Piper and Chris Roach. We had given up quite a lot to believe in the Harrow project, and we hoped against hope that it would come off. And there were some times when it looked like it wouldn't, but we believed in the project, and we stuck it through. And obviously things have changed a great deal now. You can point to the size of the campus and the fact that we have a house system. That there's so many more people around and things are much better organised. But I think I'd rather look at the fact that the school is very much like it always used to be. That it hasn't actually changed that much, in the sense that it still has a very, very high quality of teaching staff connected to it. And I think the students, even like they did in the early days, still feel that they're part of a very, very special community, very, very special environment. So although the school may have changed in so many ways, to me it's still fresh and vibrant and a wonderful community.
Well, as one looks back over the last 10 years, there are an awful lot of highlights. It's been a tremendous experience for many, many people. And in those early days, back in 1997 and the early part of 1998, things were very different from how they have turned out to be today. In those early days, we were expecting to start a school up at Patantani, or indeed at Nonthaburi to start with, but it didn't come to that. So we started in an office in the Mania building in downtown Bangkok, and then aided and abetted by Mr. Michael Lydiard, the bursar from Harrow, we found ourselves, or he found for us, the Riverine condominium up at Nonthaburi, which was an interesting place to start. It wasn't an ideal school by any means, because we had to teach in bedrooms and bathrooms and get what books and facilities we could find. But we taught children very well, and that I think was the beginning of Harrow, the quality of the teaching, and I'm sure that's one of the great hallmarks even to this day. Those first few months when we grew, I suppose, to about 40 or 50 children, it was an interesting time. We didn't know whether to pay the teachers, such as we had, or to feed the children. We had to shop for food in the Nonthaburi market, and indeed when we moved from Riverine down to Bangkok Gardens, we had to smuggle most of the equipment that we had procured out in a very clandestine manner. But we did move down to Bangkok Garden, and we found this huge empty space. And credit must be made of Matthew Farthing's vision, because he was the one who could see how this vast space, empty space in Bangkok Garden might be turned, with the aid of an expert architect, namely Bob Holmes of City Realty, into a school of sorts. And in the course of 1 month, it must have been August of 1998, with 300 or 400 people working around the clock, the bare bones of Harrow fell into place. And we opened on a wing and a prayer, with I suppose about 60 or 70 pupils on the 1st of September 1998. In Bangkok Garden, which by then had been turned into a real school. We had laboratories, we had a theatre, we had all that we really needed for about 60 pupils, or maybe 70. But over the course of the next few years, things grew very rapidly. Again, it was down to the quality of the teaching as much as anything, I think. And numbers poured in. We found ourselves being squeezed more and more into odd corners of Bangkok Garden. It has been a most spectacular success story. And to see Harrow now thriving as it undoubtedly does, with strong support from the UK, with a quite remarkable group of teachers, happy children, successful children, for me, who wondered at one stage whether it was all going to work or not. It's such a delight to see it all working. And I think back to that famous occasion when I flew up to Hong Kong This was literally the last throw of the dice in the middle of 1998 when we had no land, no money, and really no hope. I flew to meet Mr. Daniel Chu in Hong Kong, and together we could see the benefits of what was undoubtedly a very, very good idea. And it is to his eternal credit that he accepted the challenge and gave us some money to start with. And the rest, as I say, is history.
Before we decided on this campus, we'd looked at least 100 others. Some had been in the centre of Bangkok and some had been on the outskirts. But we chose this one for a variety of reasons. Firstly, its site is over 97 rai if you include the lake. It's a big site and there was lots of future potential here for the development of it. Also, there was already some buildings here which we could adapt and develop. Another important feature was that we actually owned this land. Some of the other sites we'd looked at we would had to have leased, and we thought it was far, far better to be the owners of our own property.
Well, we're situated in a school which used to be a Chinese primary school. A spot called Anjin, which is a central location, and it's just off the Great North Road that runs due north from the Forbidden City out to the Olympic Games area. So we're very, very well situated, and there's something rather special about setting up in an old Chinese primary school where children have walked before us. Well, the plans for the future are to carry on as we've started. I think we've made a very, very good start. This year we had our first group of leavers, 9 students left after their 2 years with us. We are only 2 years new, but they left to go on to world-class universities. The majority went to Britain. 2 students got 3 straight grade A's, so they were all able to go to the universities of their choice. We had 100% pass at A level and 100% pass at GCSE with a 78% A star to C rating. We're supported by an extremely good staff, and there's at the moment a very, very positive attitude to the school here in Anjin, supported by parents and a fine body of students. But I think that now is the time to look ahead and move on, and the school should find its own site. It should consider how it's going to expand into a primary phase and possibly a kindergarten phase as well, just as is the case in Harrow International School in Bangkok.